Good morning. This is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, bringing you the AA Word of the Day for February 3rd, 2025. And the word for today is filling the void. We need to ask ourselves but one short question: do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power greater than myself? As soon as a man can say that he does believe, is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him he is on the way. And that is taken from Alcoholics Anonymous, the Big Blue Book, page 47. And this is the commentary. I was always fascinated with the study of scientific principles. I was emotionally and physically distant from people when I pursued absolute knowledge. God and spirituality were meaningless academic exercises. I was a modern man of science. Knowledge of my modern man of science. Knowledge was my higher power. Given the right set of equations, life was merely another problem to solve. Yet my inner self was dying from my outer man's solution to life's problems. And the solution was alcohol. In spite of my intelligence, alcohol became my higher power. It was through the unconditional love which emanated from AA people in the meetings that I was able to discard alcohol as my higher power. The great void was filled. I was no longer lonely and apart from life. I found a true power greater than myself. I had found God's love. There is only one equation which really matters to me now. God is in AA. And of all the readings we had so far, I figure that this is the one where they could post my picture on the page and a Daily Word and just put it right up here on this page because it fits me almost to a T. I was emotionally and physically distant from other people while I pursued absolute knowledge, and that absolute knowledge to me was really just learning how to drink in safety and not have the effects that other people experienced: the physical effects, the spiritual effects, the emotional effects. I didn't really think that God was meaningless or an academic exercise. As long as I can remember, I always believed in God. But as I say in almost every video, I had a very stoic attitude. God gave me a brain, go and figure it out yourself. God helps those who help themselves. He wouldn't have give you a brain if he didn't want you to think. And that was repeated over and over and over again, so it became part of the way I thought about things. Uh, I was a modern man of science. True. When I think of my whole educational career in both mathematics and in nursing, it was full of science. You know, STEM subjects, they call them now. Of course, I majored in math, so it was math. But we had to take cognate subjects, and I like chemistry. I took general chemistry. I took organic chemistry. I took physical chemistry. I took physics. And then I took a sort of organic chemistry and nursing. Even though I had A's in organic chemistry, they made me take their version of organic chemistry again because it had been over 20 years, but it wasn't a very rigorous course like it was when I was getting my first degree. Uh, Given the right set of equations, I tried to set up a computer program that showed all that I had accomplished so that someone couldn't come up to me and say, "You spend all your time drinking." So they'll say, "Oh, yeah, you think so? Well, look at this." And I press the button and a list would come out of all the things I'd done. So I had that angle covered. And as I mentioned before about the myth, you had Atlas. He could say, "Look at how many times I lifted this up the hill." You roll the earth up the hill and then it came back down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So he did a lot of work, but he was at the same point every morning. So he had really accomplished nothing. So, and to a great extent, my higher power was alcohol because it determined everything that I did during the day. How I set up my routine, like I said, I worked 11 to 7. Uh, and as soon as I got out of work, the first thing I did on the way home, I get out at 7. Some liquor stores open like 8 o'clock, so I wasn't too in a hurry. Sometimes I'd stop, get a breakfast sandwich, and then when the liquor stores were open, I put it in the back of my Chevy S10 and stop at another liquor store. Some areas of the Providence metropolitan area had several liquor stores on the street, and I just run in, get a couple of cases, throw them in. So I could make a haul of about 15, 20 cases on the way home. I'd line them up in my garage, and then I wouldn't have to go to see those people for another week. So they wouldn't see how much not liquor, beer, I was actually drinking. My favorite was Miller Lite 16 ounce. The 12 ounce I drank too quickly. I wanted 16 ounce. So you can see very much how my life was really controlled by alcohol, and I realize it now. But even the first couple of months in AA, I still didn't realize I wasn't drinking, but I had this thing that I didn't drink that much. And it didn't control my life. I did a lot of other things. Towards the end of my drinking was the dawn of the personal computer, talking like about 88. So I'd get on there, do a lot of work. But if you had a camera on me, you wouldn't see that I had my can of Miller Lite right next to the computer. And some of the other reasons, other uses for my higher power alcohol were social anxiety, because my social anxiety wasn't much when I started drinking. But towards the end, when I isolated and drank at home, uh, I became less comfortable with groups of people. And second, work related anxiety towards the end of my drinking was when all the banks were merging. And that had been the business that I got the job right out of college. So I thought, what's going to happen, you know, if Bank of America buys all these banks At that time, I was working in Boston. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And so I drink rather than actually set a plan in motion of what to do with God's help. I drank. And eventually, I wouldn't get anything accomplished, didn't send out any resumes, put my foot in the water to see how, where else things were going on. And at the same time as the banks were merging, great strides were making in the speed of communication, so that I found this out when I went to the hospital, and they got on this train. You could transmit an X-ray to India, just like a little tiny file you transfer in the old days. And so one night when I was at the hospital, one of the patients had broken a hip, and I called up the doctor to get his evaluation of the X-ray, and the guy was in Mumbai. So that shows you how things change in a short period, say from like 1988 through 1999. And it was a kind of scary time. What's going to be left? What do we regular normal workers do? And with construction, well, it became clear that alcohol had no real solution to any of my problems. So I'm so glad I found it when I did, March 4th, 1991, and that I've been able to live with it since that day. So God bless. Have a safe and sober Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.